105, and the Harris County Department of Education Board of Trustees meeting is now in session. The Board of Trustees of the Harris County Department of Education now convene in the board meeting on Wednesday, November 29, 2017 in the boardroom at 6300 Irvington Boulevard, Texas at 1:05 p.m. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present in this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As trustees, we're here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policies for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operational decisions of the department are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by sections 551.071 to 551.084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. Thank you for taking the time to join us and for interest in the Harris County Department of Education. Okay, we're going to start with our invocation. I understand it's going to be Tiffany Kroon from Case. Tiffany? All right, please stand.
Our Heavenly Father, we come to you with bowed heads and humble hearts. As we meet today, we conduct matters of business. Please guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impact your wonderful wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Most importantly, thank you for being the source of our guidance today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and Pledge of Allegiance to the Texas flag will be by Michael Wilson, Center for After School Summer and Enrichment.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We have several visitors today. I'd like to acknowledge them. We have Andrea Duran. Andrea, thank you for coming. We also have Josh Wallenstein, Colleen Vera, Alan Vera, David Wilson, and Matt Melial. And with that, I think these are all some of the last I just spoke to have signed up to speak to the board, so we'll start with Josh Wallenstein.
So trustees, thank you for your time. Again, I'm Josh Wallenstein. I keep being asked to state where I'm from and what I'm doing here. So I'm a candidate for an office I have a campaign to join you on your board next year. At next year's election, I'm at votejw@yahoo.com. I'd like to take a few moments to address the topic policies. As a compliance lawyer, that might not surprise you that seems to be kind of a focus of mine. Policies are your internal laws. You don't dismiss them arbitrarily. And one of your policies, policy CW, governs situations that could constitute a conflict of interests. This policy is meant to prevent self-dealing. It's meant to prevent even the appearance of unseemly behavior that could undermine our faith in you, our elected officials. Unfortunately, you've willfully violated this policy twice. First, the policy says twice, the board prohibits the naming of a building in honor of any individual, living or dead. The policy says this twice, and I'm loath to accept the explanation that it was a cut and paste error. I think it says this twice because it is so important to the integrity of this board or to the board that approves this policy, including you, that this is repeated in this policy. It also says that the public must be involved in the naming of any building. There is a public hearing process that is outlined in this policy. So this policy was violated twice. Policies are not to be waived arbitrarily. Local policies need to have an exception process within them or need to be replaced with something else. And you today have upheld this policy in your policy meeting this morning. You don't waive policies arbitrarily because you feel like it or because you're the board. These are your policies that you've agreed governs you. This is not Venezuela, this is not Russia, this is Harris County, Texas, in the United States of America, and we don't behave like that around here. Instead, we hold you as our elected officials to a higher standard, and if they don't meet that standard, they're subject to our opprobrium. Now, at the policy meeting today, this morning, you voted to uphold this policy CW. This is indeed part of your legacy as board members of this board. I now ask you to demonstrate your integrity as elected officials by correcting the egregious policy violations that have occurred and scheduling an agenda item that was mentioned in the policy meeting this morning to rescind the decision to name your buildings after Ronald Reagan and Trustee Michael Wolf's mother, Ethel Wolf. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Colleen Vera. I'm a retired Texas teacher and a Harris County taxpayer. I'd like to comment on agenda item 8E concerning seeking an AG opinion for Harvey relief. If you're going to go to all the trouble of asking for an AG opinion, this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to put me in my place. I am certainly the most disliked person in this room. I've been a thorn in your side for years, coming here accusing this board of not following the repealed laws that govern you, especially former Code 1814, which states that the tax you collect must be distributed to the ISDs in Harris County according to their ADA. Here is your chance to publicly humiliate me and say, we told you so, now go sit down and shut up. Simply word your request for an opinion as, must HCDE distribute the equalization tax to the ISDs according to 1814? If not, may HCD issue the tax funds to the ISDs according to their need to assist in Hurricane Harvey recovery? And if not, may HCD issue profits collected from fees for service to the ISDs to assist in Hurricane Harvey recovery? Wording the request this way would answer both of our questions. There's only one reason that you won't do it, and that's because you know I'm right. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Board President, Mr. Superintendent, HCDE trustees. My name is Alan Vera. I'm a native Hispanic Texan, a Harris County taxpayer, and an Army Airborne Ranger Vietnam vet. I'm here today to speak about an initiative raised at last month's meeting regarding the Pledge of Allegiance and HCDE students. I won't take the time today to recount the emotional and inspirational story of the night that attorney Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, nor will I recount to you the process by which the Pledge of Allegiance was gradually substituted for the singing of the national anthem in public education. Today, I want to focus on what to me is the sad development at last month's meeting, that two trustees of this board decided to become copycats or supporters of some of the most selfish, self-centered celebrities in our country. Even sadder, the trustees want HCDE policy to encourage the students and staff and the students in its care to also become supporters, if not copycats, of these same celebrities. This is not about the First Amendment, regardless of what its proponents claim. This is about a compelling need to selfishly grab attention with no regard for others. It's about spoiled, selfish people yelling, "Look at me, not the flag, look at me." It's about pouting, stomping your feet, and holding your breath until you turn blue. It's about a personal choice to sit, complain, and whine about random grievances rather than stand up and take action to create rational, lasting solutions to whatever real-world problems affect you. This initiative is about taking the easy way out. It's about being lazy. The students entrusted to HCDE for alternative schooling and soon for drug help are already lacking many of the values and the discipline they need to succeed. They're already in the bad habit of putting their personal preferences and their need for attention above the good of others. They already fail to integrate their behavior with the norm required for orderly public school education. That's why they've been referred to HCDE in the first place. The so-called Pledge of Allegiance First Amendment initiative brought up last month will only encourage these already troubled students to act out more, to further place their own egos above the good of their classmates and teachers. It will reinforce the self-centered bad habits they already have. It will degrade the level of success that you're already achieving, and it will actually hurt the very students it pretends to protect. Given the backgrounds of the students entrusted to HCDE, I think this is a very, very, very bad idea. I suspect the trustees behind the initiative actually know this, but maybe they just feel that you all aren't paying enough attention to them. I'll close with a bit of political advice for the board. Many of you seated around this platform have grown tired of the negative attention paid to HCDE by the Texas legislature. It's exhausting. It's frustrating. But if you were to even flirt with a policy encouraging your students and staff to ignore the Pledge of Allegiance, then, with regard to negative attention from the legislature, I can only tell you, you ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all have a nice meeting. Thanks for the time. Mr. Board President, I yield the floor. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's David Wilson, and I'm the director of the Cypress, Texas Tea Party. I want to speak to those trustees who have chosen to make a statement by not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and who support First Amendment rights not to stand for the national anthem. I want to make it clear that the Pledge of Allegiance is not a pledge of loyalty to our government, but to our nation, which is made up of we the people. If any government entity becomes tyrannical, it's our responsibility to replace it. We do not answer to the Harris County Board of Education. You trustees, you are to serve and answer to us. Refusing to stand for the national anthem shows disrespect for the flag and the members of the armed forces. The national anthem pays respect to the people who have risked their lives, being injured or died defending the United States. I don't understand how you could find it so hard to stand up out of respect towards our military men and women. These people are fighting for their lives daily, and they've left their loved ones behind to fight for our freedom. The men and women who serve our country are willing to die for you. Yes, you, the ones who don't have the decency to respect them. The pledge isn't for our government, it's for our nation. It is nothing other than a pledge of unity and solidarity for your fellow Americans. The flag symbolizes a bond of and senses and spirits of a common sense that makes us as a whole, makes us together as a whole. Refusing to stand for the national anthem angers many and sows division in our country. NFL players who have refused to stand for the national anthem have caused division among their teams, their fans, and across the country. I would challenge you to tell me and the other citizens here at this board meeting what injustices you have seen in the Harris County Board of Education that you feel the need to take this disrespectful action. The people need trustees who will provide leadership that serves to unite people and not divide them. I thank you for the opportunity to express my feelings and the feelings of many other patriotic citizens of this great country. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. I wanted to speak to Article 8C on the board agenda, which includes an evaluation of Superintendent Colbert. I just wanted to say a few things, and he did not ask me to say any of these things. When I first started attending these board meetings, Mr. Colbert came up to me and just introduced himself to me and gave me his card. It was a really collegial thing to do. I didn't know any better, and he just said, you know, if you ever want to chat, I just appreciate your showing interest. And within a week's time, you know, we were speaking. It was a really nice gesture, and I always appreciate when anyone amongst the senior levels of any institution, but particularly a public institution, shows that type of reach out to constituents, regardless of whether they pursue them or not. And I've spoken to a lot of other people who have engaged with him, and whether they agree with him on every view or not, everyone sort of seems to have a pretty good positive feeling about him. They think he's a pretty agreeable guy, competent, tries to be respectful, and it seems like the most hardcore ideologues would have a negative thing to say about Mr. Colbert. But outside of collegiality, I think a lot has been accomplished under the superintendent. The tax rate for the third year in a row has been lower than what it could have been. And while there's been a lot of things that have happened, to me, the best thing I've seen is that Fortis Academy has been realized because of the work of this board. I think it's an incredible thing. And a large part of that, not the sole, but a large part of that came from the leadership shown by Superintendent Colbert and his commitment to helping the least of these. And that starts with helping kids break addiction so that they do not wind up in prison, which is at the very least in everyone's fiscal interest. And then from a moral agenda, I just think perspective, it's very important as well. So I just wanted to simply say I hope that when he is assessed, he's assessed honestly, he's rated well. My understanding is that his current compensation is the third lowest out of 15 in the county. And I think when somebody does do a good job, especially when they bring rates down, they should be rewarded for that, private in corporate America or otherwise. And so I just wanted to say as much. The last thing I'll say is, since two of my predecessors just spoke on the standing before the flag or not, I think anyone can choose to be, whether they choose to stand or not, can be patriotic. And I don't think one side has a monopoly, and I think that side needs to be said as well. Thank you.
Concludes our public participation. Okay, boards under reports and presentations, Superintendent Monthly Report, James Colbert Jr.
Thank you, Chairman Evans. I'm going to pass these folders down. Just real quickly, first would like to acknowledge that y'all are sitting in new chairs. Just for the audience to know that this is my third attempt to try to accommodate our board and make sure that they're comfortable during these board meetings. So I hope you like the chairs. We can explain all the mechanisms a little bit later. I know some of y'all are sitting a little high. I want to personally thank the board. Every year, I sit down with our board members and I go over an annual review of where HCDE is as an entity. And they get a plethora of information. Just as an example, this is how much information each board member gets every single year. And I just really want to thank the board for taking the time out of their busy schedules to sit down and allow me to go over that. And it's really a celebration of the successes of our staff, the joint efforts that our board has put together in supporting our staff and trying to carry out our missions fully. And I just appreciate the board taking their time and reviewing that. Some of y'all I didn't get a chance to speak to, and I've left a copy at your seat for you. But this is a byproduct of systemic leadership and what we do every single day at Harris County Department of Ed. I also like to give a special shout out to Tammy Lanier, who has spent a tremendous amount of time organizing this document. I don't type as fast as she does, and I often need to look at the keys and use my thumbs. So she is a tremendous aid in being able to put together that document. As you look through your folder, you'll bring your attention to a couple of media highlights. Once again, Fortis Academy has gained a tremendous amount of recognition here locally. Dr. Moten was sponsor our showcase once again and speaking about ultimately opening up our Fortis Academy, and so you'll have an opportunity to read that. Draw your attention also to some special dates that are coming up, and as you know, we're in that time, that holiday time, where we just got through with Thanksgiving and Christmas is right around the corner. And this is the time where our campuses like to celebrate, the festive events that are going on. Certainly every year I try to make it out to our AB East campus, which has an excellent Christmas celebration, and I would welcome any of our board members who might like to attend that. But a really special occasion that happens every single year is with the Bates Collision. Every single year, Bates Collision in Baytown and Channelview, I think for the past 16 years has donated a car to a family from our Head Start campuses. And it is one of the most emotional times to see that parent get a unwrap a car that's brand new to them and have their kids be able to celebrate that. And so please find time in your schedule. If you can't make it to both, try to make it to one. And I can assure you that if you go to one, you won't miss another one after that. And finally, I'd like to call Helen Spencer up, who wants to play one of our Go Public commercials. I think we have 2 of them. And I want to call you to the mic so you can explain the history behind the Go Public and what your staff has done.
So Go Public Gulf Coast is an initiative aimed at promoting public school education, and almost all of our local school districts are a part of this organization. And so we are helping on the creative end by creating PSAs, and one of those aired at the movie theater over Thanksgiving break. And so we're going to show you that clip now, and I can answer any questions.
We live in a very diverse society, and in that classroom you will have people coming from all socioeconomic backgrounds, speaking different languages, practicing different religions, but everyone is there to learn. In that public school setting, you learn how to live. I learned those principles and those values from the public school system. I'm Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, a product of the public school system, and I urge you to go public. It's not just about calculus or trigonometry. It's about how do you cope when you leave the classroom, how do you cope in life. I'm Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, a product of the public school system, and I urge you to go public.
So I'd just like to compliment Mrs. Spencer's staff. One, I think that's an indication of us continuing to try to have collaborative relationships here locally, and their confidence in us and being able to produce products like that. And then 2, I'd like to compliment your staff for the quality of the work that they do. So that's all I have for this month. Thank you, Chair.
And I would like to give a quick shout out to Daniel Villarreal in the back.
Daniel's the quiet one in the back.
He is the quiet one, but he did the majority of the work on this video project. Several of the school districts were so impressed with it that they played it at their monthly board meetings. So thank you, Daniel.
You want to stand up so we can see who you are?
He's always the one behind the camera. You never
Right.
see him.
Okay, presentation to the board of the meritorious budget award to HCDE for excellence in the preparation and insurance of its budget for fiscal year 2018. Jesus Amasqua, Assistant Superintendent for Business Services.
Yes,
Dr. Amasqua.
we have a copy of the award that we received. This is the 9th year that the department receives the ASPO award. And want to thank the business department and also all the divisions that contributed to the developing of the budget.
Mesqua, real quick, talk a little bit about what it takes to win such an award.
There is a standards, benchmarks that are established nationally that you need to meet in order to receive the award. The tool or the budget has to be a communication document, needs to be an operating document, and a financing tool document. So there's those 3 categories that the ASBO award represents, and we're graded on how we present those policies and plans for the department.
This is how many have we won?
No, this is number 9th.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Annual update on the HCDE Center for After School Summer Enrichment Case Division. Lisa Carruthers, Director. Hello, Lisa.
Hello. All right. Well, good afternoon. I am going to start by talking about all the fabulous work we're doing and our case team. So, oh wait, I'm not on full mode here. There we go. So, team, will you mind standing up? Speaking of awards, we just recently, one of our team members won a new award. So this is the CASE team. We have several employees from a variety of backgrounds. I always talk about. We have social workers, we have educators, we have public administrators, former teachers. We have 2 Vistas this year to join us as well. So thank you guys. We also received an award, so I'm going to ask 2 people to actually stand up, Chaz and Adrian. So there is a national award for after school delivered by the After School Alliance, and this year Chastity is our winner. It is a 30 under 30 award, but I have to include, since we're talking about this, Adrian, because Adrian was a student at Chavez High in our after school program. And when he was working in Dallas, we nominated him, and he won the award. And when he graduated, we hired him up. So that is, it's our success story of growing up in a program and now working for us. Chaz, don't sit down. Sit down. And Chaz started as an intern and then finished her Master's of Public Administration while she worked with us last year, and so now has gotten the award. So these are young people working dedicated to our field. Thank you. So CASE, these 26 people right here are what make it possible. And in our 2016-17 school year, we supported 14 school districts. We worked with 1,800 partners. So these partners are made up by our 62 funded after-school programs, the staff, 1,647 staff that we trained in our professional development opportunities, and over 100 collaborators that we work with that are either for-profit after-school providers, but primarily nonprofit people working to deliver their specialty areas inside the field and work inside after-school programs, whether it be fencing or robotics or literacy and numeracy initiatives. All these people come to be able to serve the 16,000 kids that we served last year. So we served 15,000 kids and 1,000 parents. And so one of our funding streams does allow us to engage the parents as well. The way we do this is primarily we start off with programs. Our foundation is built off of these after-school programs. The 2 primary funding streams, we have 24 partnership project sites that we invest in a match situation with the school districts. And then we have 20 programs funded through the Texas Education Agency through the 21st Century National Funding for After School. We also work with all those fabulous content-based service providers. And the way we do that is we work with primarily is through the partnership with the City of Houston, who invests over $500,000 to be integrated, and we administer it for them on their behalf. So this is our 4th consecutive year doing that for the City of Houston, and through the Literacy Initiative. So we have a contract with the Houston-Galveston Area Council that allows us to leverage federal funds that get distributed through those providers to do numeracy and literacy activities. And this year we're very excited to have the Harris County Public Libraries and Harris County Precinct 1 join with Harris County Precinct 2 in this project. So we have deepened our relationship with the county. We also do a series of professional development opportunities. We have a training series. We had 56 workshops this year, and we had our best ever conference, Cruising with CASE. And after we came back from Harvey, we weren't sure if we were going to postpone it or rename it, because cruising after a storm, we weren't sure if that was bad taste. But we made sure that we had resources attend the conference to share for programs that might need in recovery and information sharing. So we modified our topic so that we could bring resources to people working with our kids and post-Harvey. We also this year got a contract with United Way to expand our quality coaching services. We're very proud for that. This is a significant piece of revenue for us. We also do projects and events to help raise the awareness of after school. At our conference, we were very glad to have Trustee Erica Lee Carter join us, and along as we had 40 community collaborators and out-of-school youth development leaders from. We even had representations from workforce. We had representation from higher ed. We had representation from several community partners that came and helped us at the conference. And our events, we have several events throughout the year, but our highlight events are going to be, of course, the second year for us managing the All Earth EcoBot Challenge. So we're hoping this year to pass the 1,000 kid mark. And our new initiative, Case Debates. So 2 Saturdays ago, we had 117 kids come to the first seminar. Yay! This has also been a little, getting up and running after Harvey has been a little bit difficult. You know, principals wanted to get their shop in order to get back open for business, but we do have now 10 programs working with us. 117 kids joined us, and we have another event on the 9th for our second seminar. And the tournaments, we will be inviting you guys to the tournaments, which will be in the spring. We do wraparound services. The opportunities and challenges is that now these districts are talking about wraparound services in a meaningful way, and we are actively involving ourselves in those conversations to make sure we are seen as, HCDE is seen as a resource, and we can resource share for the support services to kids. And our new opportunity is going to be the 21st Century Cycle 10 application that will be released in the spring. We have Cycle 8 will be going away. That's 10 sites that will be closing, in their 5th year of funding, so they will no longer have funding at that level. They are trying to sustain, and we're working on that. But Cycle 10 will give us an opportunity to apply for additional 10 sites. And that is the presentation. Any questions? Thank you.
Report of the board feasibility subcommittee.
This month I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Other reports from board members concerning attendance or participation in a board or HCD related conference, event, activity, or committee. Accolades for an HCD staff member or other deserving person. Do I have any?
I'd like to again thank Dr. Carruthers and Case and Ms. Finley for inviting me to the Out of School Time Conference, and it was great to see our broader Harris County community come together to be a lifeline for students and for our schools. I'd also like to thank Carla, our board, superintendent secretary, who also helps the board. She doesn't get thanked as often as I think she should be, and she's always helping me. I'm always calling her with questions, big or small, and she doesn't make fun of me, at least to my face. So I appreciate that, Carla. And it's November making me think of thanking individuals. Lastly, I'd like to thank active duty military and veterans. I have many in my own family, and state that we may have a disagreement over the United States Constitution and our First Amendment right for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and the right to peacefully protest. And I will sit or kneel until we to align with those who agree with that.
Okay, monthly financial report through 10/31/17. Jesus Amesqua. Dr. Amesqua.
Before I begin with the report, I'd like to distribute some news that we received regarding our financials and information that we post on our website. And we received notice that we received a star from the Controller's Office for our traditional finances as we posting on our website. That's an email that I received where we have all our financials on our website. I can get to the website. So we've added a link up here that says transparency, and all our financials are rightly so and where they're at, but the state requires all the financial statements to be in one place. So when you click transparency, you have the financial transparency that includes traditional finances data, debt obligation, contract procurement, economics development, and public pensions. We are required to adhere to the new standards from the Controller's Office. So we received our first star. There's a total of 5 stars that you can receive. We received the first one, which is the traditional finances. And the one that you have in the back of your handout is the one that we received, the traditional finances. We're waiting on the purchasing one and the debt, contracting and debt from the Controller's Office. So this is the first one. So a lot of financial data, financial summary, our CAFR's annual report, our interim reports that I want to review. They're all posted on our website. All you basically scroll down and you will see all the data in one place, an analysis and the cycle of our budget, the check register. You'll see our financial reports. You will see our investment reports, our tax rate the last 5 years. Then the section on debt obligations continues, and it goes on to include all the data that is required by the Controller's Office. I'd like to thank the technology department and the communications department, because they were a part of creating this page to be able to receive this award for the department. So the financial statements for the month, the highlights, and again, they're all posted on our website. This is the logo that we will use for all our Transparency Star for traditional finances. Everything is posted on our website. Our balance sheet as of October 31st is $30,430,960. Liabilities of $2,262,969. And the fund equity and appropriated year to date is $30,430,960. Our unaudited fund balance at this point in time is $30,920,241. You will see in January the audited figure once our auditors come in and present our audited report. Our financial ratios for this month, it is only the second month of the year, will look a little funny because it's only 2 months data. It's not annualized. So the percentage of general fund balance ratio, again, we budgeted at 18%. Again, because we only have 2 months into the year, the ratios are going to look a little funny. So working capital ratio, we're at 28 million. Last year, we're at 29 million. This year, we projected to be at 15. Unassigned fund balance ratio, we're at 42 versus 71 last year. We budgeted to be at 64 at the end of the year. Again, 2 months only into the year. Debt to income ratio, we haven't made any payments, so it's a 0 ratio at this point in time. Our tax revenue to total revenue, we haven't received a major taxes from our collection, so we'll start seeing that probably around the January, February timeframe. Indirect cost to tax ratio, we're at 1%. We budgeted 3% for the end of the year. Fee for service revenue, we're at 21% for the year. Again, this is only the second month, so we're at 55 and 54%. And then fee for service revenue, we're at -8 at this point in time. Again, the first 2 months hit us hard with Harvey, so but it is projected to be at 5% at the end of the year. Fund balance activity in terms of our amendments. Last month we had an amendment. Our revenues were at 12% in the general fund. Overall, we're at 9%. 2 months of the year at 17%, so we're still our revenue, so we'll be lagging a little bit until we start getting some of our revenues at the end of as the year progresses. Budgeted amendment for September and October, and this is our cumulative revenue budget and the cumulative appropriated budget looks like. In terms of our expenditures, we're at 13%. In a linear budget, it will be at 17%, but we're under that. Overall, we're at 12% into the year. Our donations for the month were a total of $42,368.83. We had donations from Teacher and Learning Center, Head Start. We had some donations, and we had a donation from Mr. Wolf, and also from different categories, totaling 39,000. So the calculator for the month, in 2 months into the year, we have our values gone up to 426 billion. We started at 399 billion, and so a lot of the values have been certified, with only 12 billion left to be certified later on in the year. Our collections for the year were at 2,420. Again, the bulk of the collections will happen in January and in February. Our disbursements for the year were at 3,017,279, and the detail, it's all in the package. We have 510 checks, 545 transactions, and 6 transfers. Our segment information for the year, we're at 2 months into the year. Education certification, 14,617. Records management, negative 44,252. School-based therapy, negative 840,302. Schools, positive 1,508,471, and choice at 457,570. Again, 2 months into the year only, so revenues are still lagging a little bit because of the Harvey situation. Our amendments for the month is a grant that we received in the amount of $75,000 from United, I believe it's United Way, $75,000 for case. And then we have a number of adjustments to our grants from roll forward from the special revenue funds for early Head Start, $1,246,985. We have early Head Start, $195,407. Texas Financial Endowment, $19,000. Local Grant Fund, $2,500. Oliver Foundation, $3,000. And then several decreases in our 21st Century Grant. The net effect is an additional $1,441,103 in the new year. In terms of our construction, no additional expenditures have been made. The only thing was we had received interest of $9,487 in our interest earnings for the PFC bonds. We've adjusted the timeline given the approval of the architect, and so the timeline was adjusted downward given the estimated time for construction for the AB West campus. Questions on the financial statement before I go into the investment report? In the investment report, we have rates continually to go higher, inch up every time. All our information is posted on our website, and we have a portfolio total of $37,630,918, of which $10,892,635 is in our Public Facilities Corporation, which includes the monies that are in our tax pool for the AB West campus. Approximately 63% is our investment pools and 37% is in our bank. And all our funds are in the tax pool with the PFC. Year-to-date comparison from one year to the next, we're 2% higher from a year ago, and 43% overall, including the PFC, from one year to the next. We have pretty much everything overnight, 30 days, and our year-to-dates in terms of interest earnings is $33,460. In the PFC, $18,746. 1 day at 1.02%. And you will see how it has increased the rates, and pretty much is at the 1% level at this point in time, which is significant better than say a year ago. Questions on the investment report? Nope. Thank you. Just a reminder, we have some of the confirmations for our annual report for next month, so I'll distribute these confirmations to you at the end of the meeting.
So action items, consensus. A motion? Or do we do it? Or you want me to do reserve first? Okay, let's do reserve.
D4 and E1.
D4 and 6E1?
D is in dog 4, E is an elephant.
Gotcha, okay. Yes, sir. E5, okay. I'm also going to do 6C2. Okay, 6C2, D4, E1, and E5. Do I have a motion? Okay, Dr. Troutman, do I have a second? I'll second it by Dr. Moore. Okay, any discussions? Okay. Have a vote. Please raise your hand if you're in favor. Passes unanimously. Okay, so we're going to take these as we go. So 6C2, do I have a motion for it? Okay, got a second? Right. Oh, okay. I have to tell you that this should not say High Point School East. It should say AB School East. So are you, since y'all did the motion and the second, are you okay with that? Okay, do I have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All abstain? My son worked for one of the school districts, so. Okay, so motion passes 5-4 and 1 abstention. D4. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it. Do I have any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Okay, so it's 5-4, 1 abstention. All right, and then E1. Okay, got a motion. Do I have a second? Got a second? Any discussion?
Yeah, so maybe I should have asked the attorney. I would actually like to divide it and move one.
You can make a,
Sorry.
if you'd like to make a motion to approve, to separate them, to approve certain ones, and then let somebody else make a motion to approve others, is that what you're wanting to do?
Yeah, I only need to remove one.
Okay, then you can do that. You can remove that one, make a motion to approve all, like, with the exception of whichever one that is.
Yeah, so let me revise my motion and see if I get agreement. My motion is to, for E1, to agree to all awardees except for the Woods Project, Inc., which I would like to do in a separate motion. It's in the middle, the Woods Project, Inc.
I'll second that.
Got it. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, do I have a motion on E1 for the Woods Project? Got a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? So motion passes 5-4, 1 against. Okay, E5. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Dr. Moore. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by Mr. Sumners. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, why is it such a large increase of $55,000? That seemed pretty big to me.
Some people with all the answers.
At the beginning of the year under CH Local, we estimated the cost to be $100,000. The board approved that. When it came time to actually write the contract, they estimated, well, they didn't estimate, they said it would cost $111,000, which is more than the board approved. So we wrote the first contract for half, $56,000. We still had the rest of the $100,000 to deal with, but rather than do that and then bring another one to you for $11,000, we just elected to bring the entire second half of the amount to you. So the board has already approved 100,000. We've only spent 55. We're asking for 55 more, which is an increase of about 11,000 over what we estimated.
You know those numbers don't add up, right? You can't increase $55,000 and only go up $11,000.
Well, the board originally approved 100,000 under CH local.
Okay.
That's at the beginning of the fiscal year. There was no contract for 100,000. That was just our estimate. When we came time to actually write the contract, they said it would be 111,000. We couldn't write that because you had not approved that amount. So we wrote it for half to get us through most of the year. And now it's time for the remainder of the contract. So we're asking you to approve the total of 111,000, which is 11,000 more than you had originally approved. But we divided the contract. We didn't write a contract for 100,000. We wrote it for only 55.
Wouldn't it be appropriate for us just to approve the addition of 11,000 since we've already approved 100,000?
That's one way of doing it, and yes, that would be fine. To approve the CH local amount to $111,112.58. That would be fine as well.
I've got a question. What did the 55,000 pertain to? When you read it, it seems like it was for a year, and now you're wanting to increase it by almost double it. It's very confusing. And second part to this question is, now that the contract has gone over the 100,000, have you contacted other landscaping companies to see whether or not this is competitive? And did you go out for bids, or is this sole sourcing? I need an explanation of that, because I looked at some of the amounts that they're charging for mowing, et cetera, and the ones that I'm familiar with in terms of space and all, looks to me like they're charging you a premium over what I would expect to have paid had I been a business rather than a government.
Well, this was awarded under an RFP, 15023JN, so the year 2014-2015, it was awarded. So it was bid, so to speak, back then, and it's been renewed since then.
Well, see, the problem, I think the problem the board's having is your agenda item is poorly written.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said we approved $100,000, and you're going to 111, but you're asking for an increase of 55. Most of us can figure out that's not a $55,000 increase.
My
right?
apologies.
So I mean, that's the problem we're having.
Yes,
Right.
the increase is should only be the 11,112, not the 55. Mechanically, internally, instead of us contracting for 100,000 that the board approved, we've only contracted for 55,000, and so the difference is the other 55,000. So
I mean, we approved $100,000.
Right.
You wrote a contract for 50-something thousand.
Right.
Right. But you still had the approval for the 100,000.
Right.
You're only asking for 11,000
That's
more,
correct.
but that's not what it says.
Right. It should say 11,112.
I make a motion that we amend.
Questions, how time sensitive is this? I mean, do we need to have it done today, or can we just maybe table this and let you
rewrite it and get it right?
Let them rewrite it, bring it back to us.
Give it back to us in December.
It's for January.
But if we could address that through an amendment, I don't know the need to rewrite it.
To figure out an amendment with.
All he has to do is
It's
just
just
change
changing the
11,
number.
change it to 11,112.58 as the overage is all we need.
So
Right.
just say an increase of 11,000.
That's
Instead of an
correct.
increase of 55,000.
Now, let me address your question. The 11,000 increase, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, it is because we have additional locations, because we added to the scope of work, not because the price went up. Can you address that, Jay?
There's one or two sites we added, Baytown Early Head Start, the new Medfield site for ABS West, et cetera. There are a couple of sites come into play. That's about what it was.
All right, so can we address
Can I
this?
just ask for a point of clarification?
Go, sir,
'Cause you
please.
said that earlier, and I just want to make sure I understood. Was the original 55 for 6 months or for the whole year?
I believe the contract was for a year, but we estimated when we wrote the 55,000, it would only last 6 months. But instead of writing a 6-month contract, we just had the 6-month amount.
Okay, thanks. We got-
More questions. So we wrote a contract for 55,000 under an RFP, but the 100,000 was just in a budget allowance, right? It wasn't actually a contract with this vendor.
The 100,000, it was an estimate that we projected for the year that the board approved under our CH.
Yeah, but that was an agenda, I mean, that was a budget item.
It was
Wasn't a contract with this particular company.
It was meant to be up to 100,000 with that particular company.
They had approval for up to
You had
$100,000, but they only wrote a contract for 55.
Yeah, what I'm
For
trying,
6 months.
And so now they're just trying to come in and add the other 45 plus
what
the
I'm
11.
trying to figure out is if you're obligated under this contract to stay with this company, or if you've written a contract for 55,000 under this RFP. The RFP didn't specify this particular contractor when you requested it, and the 100,000 that was approved by the board at that time, we didn't know who we were going to be paying, right?
No, we did know. It was for this particular company.
So why did we write a contract for just 55,000 then? Why did we write a $100,000 contract and then, like everyone is saying, add 11,000 to it, which is roughly exactly what the new properties amount is?
When we estimated and when we costed out all the different locations, it ended up to be a total of 111,000. Now, at that point in time, we only had authority up to 100,000. So we didn't want to just say 100,000 and we're going to be left out. So in order to get going through the first 3 months of the year, the first semester, we just wrote a $55,000 to get going, and then come back to amend it by the $11,000 to the board.
So 55,000 was for more than 3 months, though.
It's about 6 months. 6 months.
Well,
Is that what the contract says?
It turns out to be about 6 months into the year when you
I
look
mean,
at
it
that.
turns out to be.
Yeah, with that total.
Month?
We're paying them by the location, by how many times they do the service.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is the 55,000 was 6 months at something or other?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looks to me like you've really
And when we complicated
mixed up
matters,
mixed us up.
shouldn't have done the 55. We could have gone all the way to the 100,000 and then just do the $11,000 amendment.
Yeah. Well, all I say is that we're probably not going to be approving these open ends in the future. Excuse me, because this is obviously not a situation that we would have preferred.
I think to me, the little bit of the confusion, I understand the comments that you're making, but it's the timing. If you knew it was 55,000 for 6 months when you do the budget, I would have put in double that, and you wouldn't be here asking for this today. So that's kind of the little bit of the confusion.
Yeah.
And so if you knew it was 55 when we were doing the budget, and that's for 6 months, it's not going to get less, especially if we know we're going to add something.
Right.
So, we should have been right the first time come in there. But we have Mr. President, we have
Can we do the amendment, please?
yeah, we have it on the floor and seconded. We need to vote on that.
Well, and if, Dr. Moore, you made the original motion, so if you and Mr. Sumners agree for a friendly amendment to change the 55,000 to 11,112.58, then that will take care of it.
I do.
Praise the Lord. All right, all in favor of number 5 with the amendment of it being 11,112.58 instead of the 55,000, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at the non-consensus, action items non-consensus. So number 7A, discussion and possible action on entering into a payment in lieu of taxes with Sigma Tube and Bar LLC and HCDE, non-opposition to the application for a foreign trade zone application. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it. Do I have any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I looked at the documentation, I still don't understand exactly. what
Okay,
it's
this
saying.
is a request for a payment in lieu of taxes to be exempt, but they will pay the exact amount of the tax in a payment to the department, so we will not lose any revenue.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're telling the tax assessor, who are we telling that they're exempt? That's what I'm wondering.
Sigma Tube and Bar is the property owner, and they have property in Harris County, and the value of that is $9,910,000. The tax is $515,000. What they want is to be exempt from tax, but they will turn around and give us
We're telling the tax assessor, we're going to say.
no, they're requesting that to enter into an agreement with the department or the appraisal district.
Don, why don't you clarify for me?
Okay, the appraisal district will handle this by taking that property off the roll for taxation. I assume that Harris County has previously approved this trade zone.
There's an application to the Harris County, and some of the other jurisdictions have already approved it.
So we're just following their lead and doing this. We won't lose money, but they will gain advantages from the membership in the foreign trade zone. This goes on all the time. We did one last year.
Right. I think it was Noble property.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? So we have 5-4 and 1 abstention. Okay, number 7B, consider approval of Amendment 1 to the service agreement with Valley Services, Inc. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Dr. Troutman.
Second.
Got a second by Dr. Moore. Do I have any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Number 7C, consider approval of Amendment 3 to the service agreement with Child Care Careers LLC to provide substitute teachers and teaching assistants, RFP 13/040KJ, to the HCDE Area 1 Head Start program. Do I have a motion? Okay, got a motion by Dr. Moore. Got a second by Dr. Troutman. Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. Do I have any discussion? I'm sorry.
This may be to Mr. Colbert, but this is almost every agenda or every other that we're increasing for substitute TAs, and I will reiterate that I'm very concerned about this, and maybe we can discuss you giving us more information on other ways we can combat this challenge we're facing at Head Start.
Definitely, I will get with you, but I think eventually we need to probably have a discussion as it pertains to Head Start, a topic that you've brought up before, that if we better compensated our Head Start teachers, we would probably have fewer vacancies or absences. And that's probably a discussion that's probably more suited around budget time. As we go into the next budget cycle, that's something that we need to give a really tough look at, but certainly duly noted.
Anybody else? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. 7D, consider approval of Amendment 1 to the service agreement with Zenith Learning to provide substitute teachers and teaching assistants, RFP 17/017LB, to the HCDE Head Start program. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Mr. Dick. Got a second by Dr. Troutman. Any discussion? Probably the same question. Anybody okay? All right. If all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Number 7E, consider approval of.
Mr. President, did we do D? I'm confused. Oh, that was D. Oh, I see. Thank you.
One is Head Start and the other one's Early Head Start.
Right. Number 7E, consider approval of service agreement with Zenith Learning, Zenith Premier Inc., RFP 108717/017LB to provide substitute teachers and teaching assistants to the HCDE Early Head Start, Child Care Partnerships, and Head Start program. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Trustee Carter. Trustee
Second.
Lee Carter. We got a second by Dr. Moore. Do I have any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Consider approval of Case for Kids Partnership Project Award for FY18 to Southwest Schools Charter in the amount of $28,000 for the following campus. That's Bissonnet Elementary, 55 students served for the contract period of 8/1/17 to 7/31/18. Southwest Schools Charter is also funded through the 21st CCLC Cycle 9 grant in the amount of $150,600 for a total aggregate amount of $108,600. Do I have a motion? Second. Okay. Any discussion? I have a question. Why are we voting on something that's already happened?
So the award process comes as an information item to the board when we make the decisions, and then the interlocals are prepared and go to the school districts. And when the districts go to their board and approve and sign, they come back. And so historically for our grant awards, they always come back through the year as the districts sign off. The grant award, when we initiate the award, goes to the board as an information item beforehand, before it goes to the school districts.
Okay, so we've already seen this as an information item. Now,
Yes.
now we're just voting on something that's already been approved by the school districts involved?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
explain to me who Southwest Schools is?
Southwest Schools is a charter system that works on the southwest side, and they have historically worked with us when we do our collaborative grant processes toward, we both on 21st Century and on partnership, and so they applied for campus this year for the Southwest Elementary. They have applied in the past for the same campus, so this is, we've had this campus before, and they were awarded this year.
What do you mean by charter system?
Southwest Schools is a charter system. I believe they have 4 schools inside their charter. They're like a KIPP or a YES. They're smaller scale. They started about 8 years ago.
So these are schools outside of their charter schools that they're doing this work.
The Southwest Charters operates, one campus is on 59 in Hillcroft, and then Bissonnet and Gessner is another campus. I'm not sure where the other 2 campuses are, but it is that region, that southwest region of town.
Okay, all in, thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. All right, consider approval of Amendment 1 to interlocal agreement between HCDE and the Harris County Sheriff's Office to increase the amount from $67,150 to $98,487, an increase of $31,337 for expanded law enforcement services at the AB School East and High Point School East campuses from 1/6/17 through 2/28/18. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? I'll second it. Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Can somebody come explain why we're increasing this amount by 47%?
It's actually a replacement cost. We're going from 1 officer to 4 officers. We previously had executive threat in that position, but we terminated that contract in December. And so, again, we're moving from 1 officer to 4 officers. And that contract starts over in March.
Instead of having private security, you're going to have real officers?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's costing you that much more to have somebody stand out there at the street?
Not that much more.
They're adding more.
It's a replacement cost.
So, wait.
Was there,
What would the increase be from additional sheriffs to it subtracted from the private security? In other words, by going to sheriff's officers, how much more are you paying?
So I don't have the exact numbers, but I know that we're actually spending less with Harris County sheriffs versus executive threat. So we're saving money.
So this is an increase in the sheriff's budget, but somewhere else it's a decrease.
Correct. Right.
Okay, which is actually the decrease is less than private?
Yes, sir.
The private officers were officers with other entities just putting in some extra work. So we were paying them an hourly rate. We're in a much better situation going with our sheriff's department being at all of our campuses and having some, jurisdiction. And so they're actually being paid officers on the clock that we're just supplementing that with the county sheriff's department.
Okay, so this is like homeowners associations sort of get the contract deputies to for special purposes.
Correct, but these officers will be designated to the campus. They'll be there. This will be their sole source of employment versus them having something else. Full-time, sure. Yes, sir.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that you agreed in this contract that you don't have 100% of their time, but you agree that they can. I think it's 20%. I think it's 80-20 or something like that.
Yes, sir. It's a split.
They can leave and go do something with the sheriff's office if necessary.
Yes, sir. If an emergency arises,
So
they need to call.
it is like a homeowners association contract then.
Similar.
I would say the agreement's more so with the county sheriff's department than it is the individual person who's in the position.
Well, but the
They're gonna provide.
the sheriff's department provides this same exact security to neighborhoods with an agreement that they're not fully assigned to the neighborhood, that they can make emergency calls.
And that's fine with us. This is a win-win situation. One, we get to unify our law enforcement on all of our campuses, and two, we save money.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, number 7H, consider approval to replace network storage systems considered end of life with a new storage system for Irvington and NPO data centers. Do I have a motion? Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Dick. I have a second by Trustee Lee Carter. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Good. Well, I just want to say that we've seen a lot less of these than I've seen over my tenure, so I don't know if we upgraded almost everything or you're maintaining things. But does this include, how much support does this include in this total cost of the storage?
When you say total support, you're asking in terms of?
This company just going to put in the storage system, or are they
Yes.
going to provide any
Yes,
ongoing
they are.
support? Does this price include ongoing support, and for how long?
Yes, it does.
For how long?
We have support services where they will accept the equipment, burn it in, and install it for us. EMC, which is the product vendor for which we're buying the storage from, they have built-in support already for the 3-year term. So we're covered with support with the actual product manufacturer. Our vendor also does value-added service, and they do also do additional level support because they have certified engineers that can also help us.
Just 36
So
months.
am I hearing that you said we have a 3-year support plus we have value added from somebody else?
Our vendor does, yes.
And how long will the value added last? I think that's what she's trying to find out.
It's kind of restricted, but they support us because they are the vendors for which we purchase it. As our registered vendor, they will service this with us during the time that we own it. So we pretty much call them for anything that we need, but that's rare.
Is this for equipment only?
Yes, sir.
So
Equipment there
we're
is
going to have an annual agreement with them?
No, it's a one-time capital expenditure, so we're buying the equipment, and there's some professional service for them to install it, so it's not a continuous, there's no continuous cost.
This is all on-site stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, have we explored doing this on
Yes, this is still, for a long-term solution, this is still more cost-effective to us. The amount of data that we have, and logistically, it just makes more sense for us to keep this data on premises, and also, again, the amount of data that we're dealing with, it's just more cost-effective for us to have an on-premise solution.
There's some awfully big companies storing all their stuff on the cloud.
Yes, but even then, some of them are very selective. Most big companies still have a lot of their critical data on premises.
Okay, so anybody else got any questions? If not, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, number 7I, consider approval of master job order contract with Facility Sources, job number 16/054JN-04 for the restoration at the Fortis Academy campus due to the weather damage from Hurricane Harvey of amount of $128,411. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion by Dr. Moore. I'll second it. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand.
I had some discussion.
Okay, then put your hands back down. Mr. Moore has a question.
What company is this with?
Huh?
Who are we paying?
Facility Sources.
That's the name of it? So somewhere didn't we approve a contract with Blackman Mooring earlier?
Yes, that was to remove the sheetrock and the damaged property, carpet. And
So does this include the modifications to the building to accommodate the new school, or is this just throwing the sheetrock back on?
This is just to replace what was
Put
there.
it back the way it was.
Going to do that when we know we're going to move walls and stuff?
You've seen those walls, right?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that you don't put it back on, then you decide that you're going to move the wall 5 feet this way, or make another office or whatever. And I know you're changing up the lobby. Why in the world would you put it back like it was and only to change it again that you know you're going to do?
Good question. We need to get the building back together and put together, back open. The potential renovations in that space are minimal. The majority of our project will be in the back where the kitchen's going to be, the classroom space, and that type of stuff. So it's more about getting the building put back together, Trustee Summers, and getting our doors open again. And no, we won't do anything twice. We're not going to put in brand new carpet, tear it out, and replace it with something else. It's just we've got to put this building back together.
Are you improving the existing walls?
Oh, yes, sir. That's why it's so expensive.
I mean,
Yeah.
the original construction was quite inadequate.
Demountable wall system, yeah.
I still we don't even have the plans yet as to what we're going to do. So how can you say that you're not going to change it?
We have the plans, but
around here.
Go ahead. No, who's next?
Sorry, Erica.
Erica, you're next.
Well, I'm pretty sure Jay has written plans. When I was able to take the tour after the groundbreaking, the director described in detail, and he said because of Harvey, some of the things had to change because we have to do these repairs first. And so things like they were going to widen a hallway, and now they're not. So they had very detailed every area. They were showing us what they had planned to do. So when I looked at that, I could envision visually, because I saw it, what area they're going to just repair from Harvey. And the kitchen and all of that wasn't affected really by the Harvey flooding. And so that's separate. And that's going to be a separate construction renovation project.
That's correct.
But they have adjusted plans. They have written plans based on Harvey destruction and other information.
Okay, so based on what Erica says, you're not going to put something back that's going to be later changed?
No, sir. No.
Eric, you got something?
I do have something. Where are we with the insurance claim? Is this the insurance claim we have?
We're working on that. Our independent adjusters really helping us out a lot with that, and we're currently working with them behind the scenes, maximizing what we're going to get back from our insurance company.
And does this kind of correlate with what we're asking for, or what they paid, or anything around that?
We're going to do real well on insurance. Our deductible's $100,000. We've met it. We're going to, it's the PA did his homework. So
cool. Does the amount that we're paying, does that kind of tie in any way with what we've received, or have we received any money, or we're still in the claim process?
Kind of, yeah. Dr. Mesko and I we're still working on that. Still working on the claims.
Divulge that right now.
Yeah,
I understand that.
They've offered in advance. We really don't need it.
We're also working with FEMA. As well. So first we need to finalize what we're going to get from the insurance company, and then anything else, then we also need to file a FEMA claim.
You're not planning on opening this school before you make the changes in the plans, are you?
We're gonna make these repairs and open the building in February, March, to get the kids back in there.
And then you're going to make changes while they're in the school?
Yes, sir. Have to. We do it all the time.
Well, you don't make changes like this all the time.
In the back of the house, we will. This won't affect this front.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? So we have 5 for, 1 against. All right, so we're now going to go into executive session on the Texas Government Code pursuant to any and all purposes permitted by sections 551.001 through 551.084, including but not limited to 551.071 through 551.074 and 551.082. It is 2:06, and we are now in executive session. John, where are you at? How do you say your last name? Try it one more time. Prestigiacomo? I don't think any of us got that right. Sorry about that.
I was about 2 syllables short.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so we're back in session, and we need to talk about employment for the Director of Maintenance Facilities and employment for a teacher at High Point East. Do I have a motion? Got a motion by Dr. Troutman. I'll second it. Do I have any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. Welcome aboard, sir. Well, I did both. Okay. That was buy one, get one free. All right, do I have any other motions?
Motion adjourned.
I'll second that too. We are now through at 3:51.